Both sides escalating their case. What does this mean?
Yeah, the case continues to expand. I think it reflects that licensing discussions and kind of behind closed doors in parallel with these legal disputes aren't going well so far. Both sides continue to add pressure by throwing additional legal claims, filing new lawsuits. We saw Qualcomm go to Germany, which is a pretty strict court for enforcing patents. So both sides just ramping up their cases and trying to gain some leverage in licensing talks.
And they're saying there's a threat of blocking iPhone sales in Germany. Could that actually happen?
It can. There are two characteristics that come to mind when thinking about German litigation among patent lawyers. The first is that the proceedings are very fast, anywhere from 8 to 12 months from filing through a final decision, which blows away U.S. courts, which are typically 2.5 years. The second is German courts automatically issue injunctions if somebody wins a patent case. So when you win, an injunction issues and products are blocked from sale and import into Germany.
The CEO of Qualcomm, though, has said he's hoping they'll settle. How does that square with the escalation of the legal battle here? Yeah,
they're seemingly contradictory, but they actually all mesh together. I think both Qualcomm and Apple want to reach a deal. Qualcomm has said, as early as today on the earnings call, that they look forward to continuing a supplier relationship with Apple. These are two businesses that work together. They want to reach a deal and clear this overhang, but there's a fundamental dispute over licensing practices, how royalties are calculated on the chips that go into Apple and all handset devices, and so it's going to take some time for that to work out, both with legal pressures, potentially in the courts, and in private talks.
Meantime, Qualcomm is also suing Apple manufacturers, including Foxconn. Apple is also weighing in there. What's going on?
Yeah, one of the interesting things about Apple's current deal is the iPhone is made by a series of companies who pay Qualcomm directly. Apple says they entered into bad deals and that Apple in turn is paying them too much because Qualcomm is charging too much. So the contract manufacturers stopped paying Qualcomm royalties on devices that go to Apple. Qualcomm sued them. And basically, Apple has come to the table because that's really a dispute between Apple and Qualcomm. So they've gotten involved in this contract manufacturer suit, and it looks like it's going to be potentially a consolidated litigation between Apple and Qualcomm, where the iPhone makers are on the side, but not necessarily directly involved.
And given that there are so many different lawsuits in different countries, how do you expect this to play out?
In my notes, I put out that I think it's going to resolve via direct licensing agreement. That's what all of this is pointed towards. There's a lot of posturing, but Apple and Qualcomm want to get together and negotiate some kind of deal. Industry trends show that royalty rates are going down for patent owners, but at the same time, I think Apple is asking for a lot in its legal case. So Qualcomm will likely see some kind of reduction in its historic royalty rates, but at the same time, this will resolve. Hopefully soon. We're looking at end of the year is always popular, but likely sometime next year when there's a little bit more clarity into the legal claims.